Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Today is it's not, February 9th, 2023, 6 days until Cardinals pitchers and catchers report, and Ricky Horton days until opening day.
For those of you who don't know what number Ricky Horton was, because I wouldn't blame you, to be quite honest, he was number 49.
49. Shout out, Ricky.
I have something to tell you that I was waiting to tell you until we're on here.
Okay.
I think those daily posts would be better if you posted the picture and the player in their jersey instead of just a picture of like the jersey sale on eBay.
No, it wasn't on eBay. It was.
I don't understand why that's.
It was just the jersey.
It looks so much better. It looks so much better if you had like Willie McGee in his jersey.
I disagree. Okay, fine. Jeez. You could text me this after I put the first one out to let me know.
Yeah, but I thought that was the only picture you could find, and then you did it 2 more times.
No. 49 days till opening day. We will be there. We will be there bright and early. Looks like the Oyster Bar doing something again. Hopefully, maybe we'll be doing something with them at some point in time.
Have you decided if you're going with Harry Bader tomorrow?
I have decided who I'm going with tomorrow. It will not be Harry Bader.
Oh.
Yeah, and
who's
one of my
right
buddies
now?
Commented Ray Fossis, which was also a really good comment.
I think
it will
Ivan
not be
Herrera
Ray Fossis
just
either.
changed to number 48.
I cannot deny nor confirm.
He did.
That.
Him and Monty switched numbers, I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Monty switched. I know. So
with Ivan,
I got it ready to go. I got it all ready to go.
Hey, do you say Ivan or Ivan?
Ivan Herrera. I don't know. Ivan was the terrible. Ivan was Pudge. So which would you rather have? You tell me.
I don't know. It's not my name. I guess I'll ask Herrera if I ever see him. But we're not here to talk about Ivan Herrera.
No, but while we do have everybody here, thank you again for coming back. We appreciate that. And as we get closer and closer to baseball season, it does seem like a lot of people picking up on what we're throwing down, which we greatly appreciate. So while you are there, if you are enjoying this, which evidently YouTube says some of you are, which thank you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate that. That continues to help us. We're getting to where we need to be. We're just not there yet. And with your help, we can get there. But you've made us who we are now. So thank you so much. With that being said, we get to, as we kind of go the counterclockwise around the horn. Today, we get to our 5th player profile. Really, it's our 6th player, but our 5th profile as we continue our march to opening day. Today, we bring you a 7-time All-Star, a 10-time Gold Glove winner, a 6-time Platinum Glove Award winner, a 5-time Silver Slugger Award winner, 3-time Wilson Defensive Player of the Year Award. Just learned about that today. 3-time NL Home Run Leader, 2-time NL RBI Leader, 5-time Fielding Bible Award, which, by the way, we learned about last week. So shout out to him on that one. And has hit for the cycle twice. The man who is right over my shoulders here, the man who we still have to pinch ourselves to realize that he is in a Cardinal uniform, the man who said, "Fuck off, I'm opting in," when who knows what kind of money he could have got, Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, the king, as I call him, King Nolan. I have a couple of thoughts on what he's done for this organization in the first 2 years of him being here, which I will get to in a second. But the thing that I think you just read off his stats, and it's a laundry list of achievements. I mean, the guy has had a Hall of Fame career.
And that's just the minute. Those are just the big dogs.
Yeah, you didn't. I don't even know if you said Silver Slugger or not.
I did, but I was going fast, rolling them off.
He has won 10 Gold Gloves in a row in 10 seasons.
Yes.
And 6 Platinum Gloves in a row, which for those of you who don't know, I assume most of you do, that is the best fielder in all of the National League. He has done it 6 times in a row. I mean, the guy, while hitting 30 bombs, while driving in 100, while having an OPS of 900, the guy is just, I mean, he's a top 10 player in baseball, right? Like, there's not 10 guys I don't think I could think of to put on my team for 2023 over Nolan Arenado. And how cool is it to have that guy on our team?
Second all time in fielding percentage at third base. Guess who he's behind?
Brooks?
His former teammate, Matt Chapman.
Matt Chapman. Okay.
Yeah. Matt Chapman was like 978 and Nolan's 972, which, by the way, 97 out of 100 times the man does not make an error. That's unbelievable at third base. There's a reason they call it the fucking hot corner. Like,
yeah, it's not easy. And I think as I think him and along with some Manny Machado, some guys like that have kind of started the trend of, hey, we'd like to have a guy that can field well over there too. Unless you're the top 10 MLB network list in which you rank Nolan Arenado behind Austin Riley, Rafael Devers, who was number
Jose
two,
Ramirez.
J Ram and Manny Machado. That's just I know. I mean, you can make an argument for Manny, but the other four you can't, in my mind. The other three,
no,
I just don't think you can. I'm just shout out to J Ram. I do think you're, I don't know, top 10 hitter in baseball easily. But when you put in fielding, I mean, there's very few guys that do it that can do it both things at an all-star level. There's even fewer that do it at a superstar level, and that's what Nolan Arenado's done his entire career.
Let me ask you this: do you think that fantasy baseball has almost screwed some of these rankings? Like, it's almost where it's all skewed towards offense, and they're not looking at the complete game. Because I'm sorry, massive fan of Jose Ramirez, massive fan of Austin Riley, even though you hate him and you told everybody on Twitter.
Stop, don't do that. I do like Austin Riley. I don't want that out there.
Caused the big war with the Braves fans. But even Devers, love Rafael Devers, but we've all seen Rafael Devers play third base. Come on, like no
try to play third base.
Flat rake. But I mean, you don't think that has anything to do with like?
I don't think
like all we look at is the offensive war, and we don't look at everything else, and that's how we make our list on the MLB Network.
I don't think it's fantasy baseball. I think it's the fact that hitting is the most exciting thing to watch in baseball. I mean, there's nothing better than watching a clutch home run, right? Like that's the most euphoric feeling you can have as a fan or a viewer. So I think that's part of it. I think hitting is probably the hardest thing in baseball to do. So that probably plays a factor into it. And also it's way easier because these defensive metrics, I mean, they have Paul Goldschmidt being a negative defender at first base. If you watch the guy every day, that's just not true.
Correct.
I think it's harder to quantify how great a defensive player is, but the offensive stats, they're kind of right in front of you, and they kind of tell the whole story.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better. Like, again, I don't understand
they're still not perfect.
All of the StatCast numbers and everything. I feel like I'm getting a lot better with them too to understand them. But yeah, they're getting there with the outs above average, with the UZR ratings, with the defensive runs saved. Yep. I think they're getting a lot better. And again, it's all a formula that guys way smarter than us who went probably to an Ivy League school punch into a computer and come out with a number doesn't always mean everything. It's not the end all be all, but it is something to kind of, I think in your terms, quantify where Nolan Arenado stands defensively. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's the best defensive third baseman I have ever witnessed that in my lifetime. I never saw Brooks Robinson. I understand that people from that era would have an argument possibly against me.
Well, Brooks Robinson said Nolan Arenado was the best of all time.
Mike Schmidt was incredible. I was lucky enough to watch Scott Rowland here. Bring it back to Scott, right? Thank God he's finally
Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Fame now. Yeah, Hall of Famer Scott Rowland. That has such a cool ring to it, by the way. That makes him even cooler. But Nolan is getting to watch him. Like, we always saw him in Colorado, and we always saw him on the highlights. But getting to watch him day in and day out as a Cardinal fan, which again, pinch yourself. It's hard for me to believe that he's here. He is the greatest third baseman I've ever seen play. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, for me, it was always, I mean, I saw the latter half of Scott Rowland's career. I didn't get to see, I was 2 years old when him, Jim Edmonds, and Albert Pujols were all in their prime in the MV3 in the 2004 season. But for me, it was always Adrian Beltre. And then I don't know, I would guess maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it started to shift over to where I would just watch Nolan Arenado play baseball. And he still is one of the most electric personalities in baseball. The guy just lives and breathes the game and plays it with a passion that very few guys play it with. And two, he's just flat out ridiculous at every aspect of the sport. Like, other than running, because he's slow as fuck, he really is. But everything else, he is fantastic at. And I have something I want to throw to you, because this is kind of the thing I want to lead off with, because I think it's important. I felt like Cardinal baseball, this is no shot at Goldie, this is no shot at Matt Carpenter or Dexter Fowler, any of the people that were leading the charge from the 16 to 19 season.
Interesting that he was one of the ones you came up with.
Well, those were the top three hitters in our lineup for a long time, right? But what I'm saying is, from around 16 to 19, 17 to 19, that area, even though they made the NLCS, I feel like the team was boring. I feel like it wasn't. Wayno said this. It wasn't a destination anymore. People weren't trying to come play for the St. Louis
Correct.
Cardinals like they are now or before. I think Nolan Arenado has completely changed the energy around the team. It's just more fun. It's something that you want. You have a guy you want to watch every single day. No offense to Goldie, but he just doesn't bring the same energy Nolan does on a daily basis. Two, the energy in the stadium. I mean, that place is rocking almost every night, it seems like now. And three, I think players like Wilson Contreras are starting to take notice and they want to be a part of this team. And some young guys have a part in that too. But I think Nolan Arenado coming here in 2021 has completely shifted the outlook of the next 5 years in this franchise.
Yeah, I can't argue that. And I think you also add to what you just said, a guy from the West Coast, right? Everybody always wanted to talk about, oh, he's going to end up a Dodger. I mean, in the offseason, there were people freaking out that he was not going to, that he was going to opt out, that he was going back to LA, where he, grew up a Dodger fan from out in that area. But you've got a guy from the left coast who now ends up in St. Louis in the Midwest and decides, I want to stay here with this franchise in the city. His kid was born in St. Louis. Nolan lives, I mean, I know he has got all their other houses, but he has a house in St. Louis. Yeah, I think that is a massive part of it. And, he is dedicated. He said, this is where I want to finish my career. I see no reason why he's 31. I see no reason why he's not going to finish his career here, right? Yeah. He's great friends with Goldie. He's incredibly close with Lars. They've become incredibly close over the years. And, I think what you're seeing is Contreras coming here. I think we've seen other people sniff around. I think I'm hoping that's getting back to where it was back in that early, when Tony was here, when it was a destination hotspot.
Or even like go back to when they got Beltran and they got, in that era of Cardinal baseball, even post Albert, it was still that.
Yeah.
Because Matt Holliday and they had all those guys. But I think we'd be remiss not to go over when we're talking about Nolan Arenado. And I know we've already done an episode on this, but not to at least go back over his comments about St. Louis, the fact that he didn't opt out, like you said, where he would. I mean, we look at Manny Machado. All the rumors are he's either going to get a massive extension or he's going to go to free agency and see if he can get a bigger deal. I'm not begrudging Manny Machado. He's earned that right, very much so. But Nolan Arenado's comments, saying that he feels like he's connected to the city of St. Louis. He loves the city. He feels like it's a grinder city, which is how he plays baseball. And we're talking about a guy where if you watch the videos of him in his warehouse, he has a California flag. He has a California flag on his glove. Correct. He's very prideful of being from California and he loves it. And he still stayed in St. Louis. Like, that's a big deal to me. And I don't know. I think he should get the loudest ovation in St. Louis on opening day, louder than Contreras, louder than Goldie, who won the MVP, because that guy just, I mean, when was the last time that happened? Even Matt Holliday went to free agency. He came back, but he went to free agency. Albert Pujols went to free agency and left. Paul Goldschmidt signed a massive extension. That's a different scenario. But Nolan Arenado, coming off of arguably the greatest season in his career, in the hardest ballpark to hit in baseball, one of them, top 5 hardest probably, decided that he wanted to stay in St. Louis and keep his promise to the city and the organization and try and win here. That's special to me. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I will say, I think the guy who's going to get the loudest standing ovation on opening day was yesterday's guy on our page, number 50, Wayno. I think that's the guy who's probably going to get the loudest, but no more Yachty ovations. How weird. How weird is that? That's going to be so weird to be there. But
I hope he's back. He might be there.
Cannot wait to see Wilson come out in one of those vets.
He won't be. He'll be in the bullpen.
Oh, he will be in the bullpen. Oh, and we're in the left field instead of the right field, aren't we? Oh, that's all right. That doesn't matter.
I think we'll see plenty of him during the game. We'll be fine.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. But the ovation will be big. I forgot about it.
The walk in with Wilson and Wayno is going to be loud. Okay, but this is about Nolan. Okay. I think the loudest will probably be Willie McGee, because it always is. He's always the loudest ovation, except for Albert last year. But I think Nolan deserves, almost like he won't get it because he's already gotten multiple, but a standing ovation is first at bat, because you just do not see guys do what he did. It doesn't happen.
And if you look at his career, obviously one of the things was, look at his splits coming out of Colorado. It's hilarious to me that people still use this argument. Folks do not realize how much easier it is to hit in Colorado. Like, every player splits are going to be different. If you use that argument, you legitimately are showing everyone else when you say that you have no idea what you're talking about.
More importantly,
yes,
in my
it is going to be less.
Hold on. More importantly, in my opinion, people don't talk about how much harder it is to hit on the road when you're coming from Colorado.
Correct.
It's a massive adjustment. LeMahieu's talked about it. Nolan's talked about it. Let's look
Probably
at the big play. Let's look at the big players in the last, I don't know, let's go 4 biggest players to leave Colorado, maybe 5. Larry Walker, success. JJ LeMahieu, success. Nolan Arenado, success. Troy Tulowitzki had success in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm missing one that I wanted. Matt Holliday, a lot of success, I'd say. So that narrative is so dumb and played out to me.
Yeah, but people still use it. Like
to be in the Hall of Fame.
Still say it. Like they know something that other people don't know. It's like, no, what you know is that you don't understand the game. But either way, with that being said, I mean, what's he have? 154 OPS plus this year. That's his highest in his career. We talked about it at the beginning, his home run titles, his RBI titles. He might not do that again at Busch Stadium. The game is different for him. He's a 31-year-old gap-to-gap hitter who really
I want to put it again. I want to put it against
You're
him.
right. I mean, but he also lives in one gap, if we're going to be honest. You know what I mean? He lives in that left center.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's so interesting to me is he pulls the ball when he hits for power, and he hits the ball the other way when he's trying to get a single. Look, I think that the way that he maximizes his potential by doing that is something I've never seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
Well, and he really, like he said after his first year here in St. Louis, that the one thing he really wanted to get on after playing a whole season at Busch Stadium was getting the ball out to left field more. He did. He did.
And he said he wanted to hit the ball harder. And it was like the hardest exit velocities of his career.
Correct. Like he did. Okay, so one of the most fun talks always is, where do you rank him on the elite greats? And we talked about that. I said he's the best third baseman I think I've ever seen. Right now, he sits currently with a 52 career WAR on that's through Baseball Reference, B-WAR.
It's like around 48 if you do Fangraphs, I believe.
The average for Hall of Famers is 68 at the third base position. I mean, he could have that in 3 years, right? I mean, 4 years.
He's already getting close to Roland.
Yeah, he is. Well, Roland was at 70, I believe, right?
Was he?
Roland's 10th all time at 70.
Okay.
And right now, Arenado is 24th all time at 52 in just 10 years. So he's averaging a 5.2 WAR a year. Like the leader of all time is Mike Schmidt at 106. He has a legit shot to get to that. I don't know that he plays long enough to get to that, but he's going to get close. Like Beltre at 93.5 is pretty impressive. They're third, but either way, that's irrelevant. Like Eddie Matthews is second, but he's going to be in that top 10 list, I believe, when it's all said and done. Maybe top 5.
I mean, stop.
And we're just focusing on WAR.
Are you talking about Tom? I was about to say because he's already a top 10 third baseman.
No, just talking about WAR.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he will be as well. I don't know where Chipper Jones is on that list.
Chipper's 6th. He's right behind George Brett.
What's he at?
85.3.
Man, there's been some loaded. Man, there's not a lot of third basemen in the Hall of Fame, but the top 10 to 15 are loaded with talent.
If you'd like, just listen to the top 11. So our listeners can know, right? For Mike Schmidt, Eddie Matthews, Adrian Beltre, Wade Boggs, George Brett, Chipper Jones, Brooks Robinson, Paul Molitor, Ron Santo, Scott Rowland, 11, Edgar Martinez, all Hall of Famers.
Do you count Paul Molitor? I don't.
He's listed on there. That's fair. And I don't know that we've talked about this before. I don't know that you count Edgar really because he only played a handful of seasons at third base, but they do have them listed there and they do put them among the third basemen, which is an interesting play. Ron Santo got in late unfortunately after he passed away.
He should have been in immediately.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. But
I guess
a great list, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time. One of those guys, I think, when he was in Colorado, he was always top 3 favorite players of mine outside of the organization.
Same.
And I never thought we'd get him. And to be honest with you, after 2020, I was worried that he was going. He was kind of trending downwards. I guess I hadn't really taken the 60-game sample size into account at that point in time. But he had that shoulder injury. And I think it was a perfect storm of Colorado not wanting to pay him because they were believing that the profits weren't going to rebound after COVID. Of the Cardinals having a crop of young talent and of the Cardinals being willing to spend the money. I don't know what got them to being willing to spend that money. I'm glad they were because they're still paying him $35 million this year, which isn't really being talked about very much. That's a big contract. But I still honestly sometimes I can't believe that we're going into his third season. That's crazy to me in its own right as a Cardinal, but I still can't believe he's here. Like, it
I think
doesn't make
also
sense.
the one thing you forgot to talk about was the power of Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, and Paul Goldschmidt texting him legitimately every day about how they wanted him to come play with them. Like,
He was texting them videos
I
of
know,
him fielding ground balls and saying, "Show Mo this," while he was a Rocky.
the man it was made to play here. It's a shame that, I mean, second round pick out of high school. Cali, obviously, a really good school. We talked about Matt Chapman playing there. I think his younger brother played in the Giants organization, and then Brian Fuentes, right? I think it's his cousin.
That's his cousin.
And,
yeah,
Brian.
and
but
he played with him in Colorado.
But his brother played, I think, in the Giants organization.
I'm not
as
sure,
well.
maybe
Younger brother. I'm pretty sure that's what I read, or I've heard that somewhere. But either way, yeah. I mean, doesn't go to high school. He's committed, I think, to Arizona State, and then ends up drafted in the second round. And here we are later. Like I said, I think if you were to pin me down, right now, most excited player that I love the most to watch the most is Nolan Arenado on the Cardinals. And maybe he's in that top 5 list in baseball. We all know my affinity for Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, there's a good list going on right now. Arenado sits right in that list for me.
Yeah.
And as a Cardinal fan, it goes even higher.
This is the first time since Alan Craig, shout out, that my favorite player in all of baseball, I can say, is the Cardinal.
Yeah, I think
it's the first time that's happened since. No offense to anyone that's come after. I love Matt Carpenter, but it was always Harper. It was always Bregman. And Nolan Arenado just passed all of them. Like, he's like, once I saw him play every day, I honestly, you always hear things like, you really don't understand how great Mike Trout is if you don't watch him every day. Things like that. I kind of always thought, well, I kind of do know. Like, I can see the numbers. I know how good they are. I watch them once or twice a week. Nolan Arenado makes a spectacular play probably more frequently than every other game.
Yeah, it sure feels like it, doesn't it? And it's weird that when you see him like in the playoff game, he makes an error, and then people were like, how does that happen? Right? How does that happen? That's when you know that you've reached that level. I mean, the numbers are there. The proof is in the pudding. We are lucky to have him at age 31. I mean, people think 31 is old. It's not, folks. He's going to continue to put up elite numbers at third base. He's going to continue to be in that line with, I don't care what MLB Network says, with Manny Machado as the top 2 third basemen in Major League Baseball. That's all there is to it. And we are so lucky to get to watch him every night.
He's going to be in the top 2 when he's not number 2.
Okay.
That's my opinion. But I think I think Nolan had one of the most consistent seasons. I mean, Goldie was doing it at the same time, so he got overshadowed a bit. But one of the most consistent seasons I have ever seen a Cardinal have. He had 2 months that were really iffy, but the other 4 months, it spanned 6 months, right? Yeah, that sounds right. 7, maybe 6. But the other 4 months were just elite the entire month, it seemed like.
Correct.
And he had less home runs last year than he did in 2021, which when I saw that, it made no sense in my head. But we're talking about a guy who's one home run. His first home run in 2023 is going to be his 300th, which is a big milestone for him. And he has homered both opening days since being a Cardinal. So maybe we'll see him homer for a third time for number
maybe we'll get one. We are in left field this year. I
think I want to go to I think he might be trending upwards and I think his next 2 years might be his best years of his career.
All right.
And the reason I think that is because I think he's figured something out. Lars Nootbaar has kind of made him figure something out.
I know.
By taking him to drive line. He's focused more on exit velocity. He's got that weird puck handle that him and Goldie both have. I think we could see Nolan Arenado win an MVP in the next 2 years. And that may sound biased because it is, but I do believe that he's been so close. And you look at his stats from, I don't know, like 2016 to 2018, that's 3 years. He probably should have won 3 of them, but because Stanton hit 59 home runs, or because he was playing in Colorado and lost to Chris Bryant.
And Harper had that unbelievable season. Yeah.
Yes, and he lost to Chris Bryant when he shouldn't have.
Right, correct.
I think he's in a city now where, one, he's going to be playing in meaningful baseball games every day, but 2, you cannot take any of his production away from him because that stadium's hard to hit home runs in. It's hard to hit for power in, and the dude's slugging over 550 or whatever it was last year.
Yeah. The one thing I'm really hoping to see this year is them get into the playoffs, and then him to put up a monster series. That's the one thing lacking as a Cardinal And this isn't a shot. It's just the one thing right now.
What's a reality?
He's talked about it. Goldie's talked about it. Goldie had a good series in 2019.
No, actually, Dad, I want to
I think,
can I step on that for a second? Just
sure.
one thing. People talk about Paul Goldschmidt's playoff numbers. What do you think his career OPS in the postseason is?
No clue, to be honest.
It's over 900.
Goldie's?
Over 900.
Really? From his years in Arizona?
I mean, he had like a 1,400 OPS in 2019 in the postseason.
And did he really total?
In the first series, I
was going to say.
But what I'm saying is,
second series, nobody hit.
He's the career superstar in the postseason.
Yeah.
So I think it's unfair to lump him in over. And honestly, like last year, he had a hit. So I mean, it was this 2022 season. He wasn't very good, but
Correct.
Every other season, I mean, he's been good.
21
in every other postseason he's played in.
2021, he wasn't very good.
No, 2021, he had a hit in one game.
Oh yeah, that's right. They only played one game. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'd like to see
Nolan.
Him. Yeah, I want to see Nolan have his October moment.
Yes.
With the Cardinals,
and
I really do.
You know what's interesting to me about that, Dad? When Nolan was in Colorado, we all remember the Father's Day cycle, walk-off home run, right? The notion around him was that he was one of the clutchest players in baseball. It really was, because he'd only played like 2 or 3 postseason games, so there was no sample size there to say he wasn't one of the clutchest players in baseball. But also because he came up in big moments all the time. So I think he needs to get into a series that's not 2 games where he hits the ball hard 5 times and, they're caught. Well, I don't know what he's supposed to do.
You and I were sitting right there in the left field bleachers. I still haven't figured out how that ball didn't go out in game 1. Like that ball was hit so damn hard. What they say, 99% of the time that ball goes out or something, 98% of the time.
No, they said he had hit a ball in Busch Stadium exactly like that, like 4 or 5 times. They were all home runs before that one.
Yeah, but I think the StatCast was 99% of the time a ball hit with that launch angle and that velocity and that exit velo is a home run.
This is a cold.
And we thought it was gone. You and I were on national TV.
Yeah, we were. I think he's gonna have a big postseason moment because I think that's who he is. I do. I believe he is that guy that can put a team on his back, a la Bryce Harper last year, and say, "Hey, we're getting to the World Series. I'm gonna will it to happen."
Yep.
I do think, in order to give that the best chance of happening, they're really going to have to push for a 1 or 2 seed, so they don't have to go into.
I agree.
Oh, look, we're facing Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. Good luck.
Agreed. I agree with you. Yeah, or we're facing Scherzer and Verlander.
Right. Or go down the list. Musgrove and Yu Darvish.
Fried and Morton, or Fried and Strider. Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So I think he needs to get. I think if he doesn't do well in the postseason, someone else has to step up, right? Because it's just he can't be the only guy. He also needs to step up. Don't get me wrong, but I also believe that if he goes into a long postseason run, say they get to the CS or they get to the World Series, I think his numbers are going to be really, really good, if not elite. He's just got to have a bigger sample size than 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, and I'd say my argument would be if they get there, they're going to have to be elite, right? I mean, I think they're going to have to be. He's going to have to be that guy. There's not much that we really need to spend more time on Nolan Arenado. At least I don't. We all know who he is. We're all excited to have him.
I have one more thing.
Absolutely. We're getting Caleb's shirt that says one more thing.
Well, I hadn't said that yet. This is my last thing on him.
No, I'm kidding.
But I want to know how you believe having Wilson Contreras, one as the third. I don't want to say big bat because I do believe Tyler O'Neill can also be that. But I want to say established, what you're going to get, elite bat in your order. Probably most likely hitting behind him. Do you believe that's going to positively impact him, or do you think that's overblown?
No, I do not. First of all, I do. Okay. I do not think it's overblown. I think it's massively important. We saw last year a revolving door of people hitting 5th behind him. We saw the year before, guess who our number 5 hitter was a majority of the games? Yachty.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think because that's when O'Neill moved up to that, 2 slot. What are you laughing at?
I'm just like, it was still Carlson down the stretch, but it was like Yachty for a while.
Yeah, but for a lot of the season, it was him. And then when O'Neill got hot, they moved him to the 3 hole, and he had Nolan hitting 4th, and then you had Yachty hitting 5th. But yeah,
and last year it was Gorman and Lopez a lot of the time.
I think the addition of not just Contreras, And we've talked about lineup flexibility. We're going to continue to talk about lineup flexibility because it is such a massive part of this team. But in that 6 hole also, like expand it one more out if you want. That if it's Gorman, if it's Yepez, if it's Tyler O'Neill, or if he's hitting second, if it's Newt, if it's fill in the blank, Jordan Walker, who knows? The longer that lineup gets, the better Nolan Arenado's production is going to become. I think that's all there is to it.
So I heard an interesting thing where some of the stars that are batting in the middle of the order believe the best protection you can give somebody is people that can get on base in front of them.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's
agree.
way different to pitch to somebody with a Nootbaar and a Donovan on base than it is to pitch, Wilson Contreras is on deck. Well, it's Nolan Arenado up. It's not going to impact them that much because they don't want to give in to Nolan Arenado no matter who's behind him. And I do think more than Wilson Contreras being behind him, I believe that Nootbaar, Donovan, whoever's batting first or second, but a full year of those guys might impact Goldie and Nolan more than Wilson Contreras will.
Oh, there's no doubt that if you're a top hitter and there's 1 or 2 outs and there's guys on base and ahead in front of you, they're going to be more willing to pitch you than to put a guy on. No doubt, especially but add to it, I think, especially with Wilson Contreras hitting right behind. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. I think those go hand in hand.
You definitely think twice about pitching around Nolan.
Yeah. I'm really excited. Like I said, I can't wait to see it. I'm so geeked for spring training. I'm so geeked to see how this shakes out. I just can't wait to see. You've got all of these things, and we've talked about a bunch of them. We've now hit all of the infield. We've hit catcher. I'm excited to see how some of these things are going to play out because I'll say it again, the flexibility and the depth of this roster right now is as deep as there is in baseball. Like it just is. It just
especially
is with major league talent
and talent coming as well. They're still
correct,
a top 10
correct.
farm system.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. 9th, by the way, that came out this week. They were 9th. And people underestimate that. Like just because you don't see 1 or 2, that's all right. I think Astros were pretty high up. I think Dodgers were the Dodgers pretty high up. I don't remember.
They were number 1.
List. Baltimore was up there.
Dodgers were number 1.
Okay. Yeah. Rays were up there. I think those were teams.
And I think I do believe it's important to recognize that the reason the Cardinals are not number 1 or number 2 is because Gorman, Yepez, Donovan, Nootbaar, all these guys, Carlson, Palante, they've graduated. So they're no longer considered in the pipeline. But if you were to do prospects plus young major league talent, I think the Cardinals would be number 1.
Yeah, I think that's argued. I think there's a good
or
argument.
Or the Orioles, but they'd be up in the top 3.
Couple things to go through as we move on. Anthony, I'm going to let you pronounce his last name. Misevich. Is that right? Misevich. Anthony Misevich is now a Cardinal. What are your thoughts? Go.
I think it's a good depth move. I do believe it might take them out of the Andrew Chafin, Matt Moore. I think those guys might be looking for a 2 to 3 year deal, and the Cardinals have gotten burned from 2 to 3 year deals for relievers in the past. I don't know. He has good whiff. He had good strikeout numbers, which the Cardinals need. He has really good spin on his
City. I think he did not before that, correct?
But he had to run at 8 for the year, but it was 11 in Kansas City. He has a good curveball spin. He has good fastball spin. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for him. No offense to him.
Happy birthday, James Nail. Shout out.
Yeah, it was tough.
DFA'd an hour later.
I think it's a good depth move, but it's nothing more.
No, I agree.
Here's the way I put it on Twitter. It can help you, but it can't hurt you.
Yeah, I agree. And, it adds competition with Cabrera, with Zach Thompson, with Jojo Romero.
I have a question for you.
Who's the other lefty I'm missing right there?
Say Thompson?
Yes, it's Thompson,
Packy.
Romero. Huh?
Packy.
There you go. And that's good.
Are you surprised when we know that that's going to be competitive in spring training? Jojo Romero and Jesus Cabrera will not be in camp. They're going to be at the WBC.
Yeah. I think that's
surprising.
Yeah. But again, they'll be back. They'll be there early.
It depends on how far Mexico goes for JoJo.
Yeah, but it doesn't start till March. So they're going to be in camp for a while.
Yeah, but that's when the games start.
Yeah. But they're going to be playing games. Like, again.
Either way, they've talked about Wilson Contreras. Not Wilson Contreras. Jordan Walker being in camp while all these other guys are gone. So he's going to get the most at bats out of anybody. I think it is significant to where if a guy like Misevich shows up and shoves in spring and I don't know, Cabrera and Romero aren't there, I think that could be a factor into pushing one of those guys onto Masevich onto the roster over the
Yeah,
other two
could
because
be.
they've seen what he's done.
Could be. Speaking of today, United States Baseball released their roster. Did you see it?
It's loaded.
I am super geeked for Devin, dude.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome.
I am so happy for him. For those of you who don't know, Devin Williams, former student of mine at Hazelwood West High School, played baseball for us. I was freshman baseball coach. He obviously did not play freshman. He did not come to us till after his sophomore year at CBC. I had him in class, really liked the kid, still talk to him every once in a while. Not often. I don't like to bother him very often. I am super proud of him, man. So geek. Rookie of the year, like one, all-star team. And now you get to play in the USB World Baseball Classic.
And
USA won in 2017.
They did.
So, Nolan Arenado part of that team, by the way.
And Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. I'm just super geeked for Devin. Just knowing him personally, I'm so happy for him.
I mean, how cool is it that he has the best pitch in baseball?
Yeah, right.
Like, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome for him. The pitching, not talking about Devin because he's top 5 reliever in baseball, right? Like, there's not 5 relievers I'd take over him, at least personally. The pitching's a little light when comparing it to the hitting, but I get it. Like, Jacob deGrom's not going to go to the WBC.
No.
Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are not go. I wish they would have. Kershaw's there, which I thought was fucking awesome.
I'm so happy for that too.
But did you see Adam Wainwright? You see Adam Wainwright made him come. He said, "Kershaw, you're coming with me." So because apparently they're good friends, which is cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see a Zach Wheeler. Would have been cool to see an Aaron Nola. But those are also guys who went deep into 2022. And also guys with an injury past.
More importantly than that,
I don't blame.
More importantly than that, starting pitching is the hardest. Elite starting pitching, I should say, is the hardest thing to replace in season when there's injuries.
Right.
So, like a Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, one or two of both of those guys, knock on wood, I don't want that to happen, but they go down. It drastically changes the outlook of that season. Yeah. Drastically. Bryce Harper's down.
I guess
they can survive.
I guess is the argument against that they could go down like in spring training also. Like, I mean that.
No, because the intensity of the WBC is way higher. So it's much more likely.
I think the great thing, I haven't really, DeRosa, obviously with Baseball Central MLB Central not being on right now. I'd love to hear his thoughts on. He's got some depth in that bullpen, though, man. To where those starters, which I think that's what you wanted. You wanted the depth. We've talked about that on here before. You've got that depth, so your starters, you're not going to ask them to go deep into games. Yeah. You got a lot of guys you can use, and then you got a lot of guys you can give 3 days off. Like 4 days off, and then come back with them again. That's what you want for this.
He's also talked about the fact that he's very aware, obviously, that players teams are worried about their pitchers getting injured, right? So I think having a deep bullpen allows you to say, okay, Wayno, go get me 4. Okay, Miles,
I agree.
Go get me 4 or 5.
Yep.
Like, and ramp up because that's a different thing. And I do think it's really nice that Wayno and Miles are the guys from our rotation there, because they don't rely on velocity or max effort to get outs. Those two don't. So I'm not as worried about those two being there as I would be if, let's say, Jack Flaherty was there, Steven Matz was there. Those two guys know, first off, they're professionals and they know what they're doing with their body, but also, not that the other two aren't, but you know what I mean? They're more veterans, right? But more so than that, they don't rely on 100-mile-per-hour fastballs to be successful. They can be crafty and throw 75% and still be effective.
What is the hunting like in Phoenix, Arizona?
I don't know. I mean, scorpions. I don't know.
Coyotes, maybe. Well, you got Lance Lynn, you got Kershaw, and you got Wayno on the same team. You can't tell me those boys aren't going fishing. They're going golfing, and they're going night coyote hunting, huh?
What are they gonna do in Miami when they get to the finals? They're gonna go out clubbing,
Florida.
or are they gonna go to the beach?
They might take their guns to the clubhouse. I don't know. Like Florida has no rules down there.
How about, hey, can we get Lance Lynn back to the Cardinals?
Well, that would be nice. That's one of my all-time favorite Cardinal pitchers.
I love that.
Yeah, would love to have. Also, awesome dude. Would love to have him back.
Awesome.
But anyway, I just wanted to hit on the USA Baseball for a minute. We don't have to spend a lot of time on that. That's something you and I were really hoping to go to.
I was
disappointed. Look like that's going to happen.
2 things. I was disappointed. The Aaron Judge wasn't there on the roster.
Yeah,
I really wanted that. And 2, no offense to Kyle Higashioka, but I would have rather flipped him into Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, do you think Rutschman just coming into his second major year? Like I saw Bobby Witt Jr.'s on there, which is really
That's
cool.
Exciting, dude.
But I just wonder if Rutschman wanting to, as a catcher, get used to those pitch. Like, I understand that. I really
I'm
do.
sure there's a lot of reason to that. And I'm sure
Yeah.
Judge all coming off that massive contract.
Yeah.
That's probably part of it as well.
Right.
So I get it, but
Well, Trey Turner's there.
I hope we get to a place where it's more like the World Cup where it's everybody there.
It does suck that we're not going to get to see Bryce out there.
Like, nobody was worried about Christian Pulisic getting hurt,
right,
playing in the World Cup.
Well, he got hurt after that, evidently.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're just going to play
right.
for the World Cup. It's going to happen.
It would. I am bummed that we're not going to see Bryce and Trout hitting back to back in that lineup. That would have been awesome.
Me too, but gosh, that lineup's stacked, man. Trey Turner, Mookie at the top of it with Mike Trout batting behind him.
Yeah, but it would have been nice to have Bryce and Aaron Judge right there, right after. Did you see somebody put out Bryce Harper's like high school senior year stats? And he averaged like 19 points a game in the basketball. He had like 10 touchdowns. He was an all-state
in the basketball
player. In the basketball season. That's why I didn't finish that. You know how my mind works. And then put up unbelievable baseball numbers. Like,
there's a reason he was on Sports Illustrated as the chosen one.
That was LeBron, dude.
No, he was also on. Bryce Harper was too. It was called Baseball's Chosen One. They were all
called the Chosen Ones.
They said Baseball's Chosen One. It was purposefully after LeBron, but yes.
Oh, interesting. Hold on, I'm looking to see if here it is. Okay, you ready? Aaron Judge's senior year stats in football: 54 receptions, 969 yards, 17 tuds. Baseball, he had 500.
You say Aaron Judge or Bryce Harper?
Aaron Judge. That's what I'm saying. Judge. We're talking about Judge.
Bryce Harper.
I said Judge.
Oh, okay. Well, Bryce Harper was the chosen one, not Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Judge 500. Because I said go Trout, Harper, then Judge, and then I transitioned into the.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Baseball, he had 500 with 7 jacks and 32 RBIs. Basketball, he's an all-state center and averaged 18.2 points a game and 12.8 rebounds a game.
How was he not drafted?
Senior season.
How was he not drafted out of high school? Because he went to Fresno State.
Yeah, I mean, was he? Do we know? And he turned it down.
Not high enough.
I don't know that answer.
He would have gotten drafted in the first.
Yeah, I don't know that answer.
I mean, imagine the contract that dude would have gotten if he would have been a free agent 3 years earlier.
Couple of other things I wanted to go through. Hold on, give me 1 second here to pull this up.
He was drafted in the 31st round out of high school.
Just to hit on Jim Bowden this week, throughout the idea that first of all it was going to be Nashville and Charlotte. Did you see the expansion, and do you have any thoughts?
Well, are we going to talk about his division realignment? Because I don't.
That's what I was talking about.
Awesome to get expansion. I'm all for that. I would like them to expand 2 teams and move Oakland to Las Vegas. As much as it hurts me, I think that franchise is just never going to get better there. One, don't take the Giants and the Dodgers out of the same division. Don't take the Cubs and the Cardinals out of the same division, because that just, I mean, the Cubs are already coming to St. Louis only 1 time this season.
Right.
Like, that's already been diminished. Don't diminish it even more. But other than that, I mean, I think division realignment would be great for the sport. Like, I think it'd be interesting if, let's say the Cardinals were in a division with, the Cubs, the White Sox, and the Royals. I think that'd be interesting if all teams would get their shit together, to have those state rivalries. But I'm all for it. I don't like the way he set it up, to be honest with you. No offense, Jim Bowden, kind of offense, I guess. I don't like most of what he does, but I didn't like the division realignment he was doing.
Bowden has it set up with us being in the Southwest with the Astros, Royals, and Rangers, like you said. I don't see that.
No,
I don't see a lot of
travel
owners.
Would be worse for the Cardinals.
I mean, no, it's probably closer. Everything's closer than Pittsburgh.
Well, you're taking Chicago out, and instead you're flying down to Texas twice.
Yeah, but you're now going to Kansas City, which would be just like going to Chicago. But instead of going to Pittsburgh, you're going
in Cincinnati. Yeah, you're
a 2.5 hour flight instead of.
I still don't know why Pittsburgh's not in.
Yeah,
East,
I don't love it. Okay. Let me say this: if you're going to expand, I'd like to see another team put out west. Portland, would be fantastic. Yeah, that would be. But maybe if you just move Oakland to Vegas, maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they don't want another team out there. I don't love putting more teams like Charlotte. I get it, and Nashville, but now you're putting 2 more teams in the Eastern time zone. Like, why are we doing that?
With the current state of Major League Baseball and the spending disparity, I think if you're going to expand and bring in 2 organizations, 1, you have to get an owner that's willing to spend money. And 2, you have to make sure you're getting a market that's going to support them so they can spend money, or you're just bringing in 2 more Pittsburgh Pirates. So you got to make sure that you're doing that.
Also, I just wonder, like Charlotte and Nashville, by the way, both hotbeds right now, sporting wise and everything. I do wonder, and I don't know how this influences people. I really don't. But like Nashville, historic minor league, used to have two. I think they only have the Sounds are the only one there now, but they used to have two there, two minor league franchises, and obviously Charlotte, North Carolina, massive minor league baseball. And I know that there for years there was a rule, and maybe I'm wrong now. I could be talking out of pocket here, but that you couldn't have a minor league team within so many miles, I believe, of the major league franchise. Is that still? I don't think that's still a thing. I think they got rid of that. But I remember there used to be some sort of thing that I don't remember what it was. Again, talking out of pocket, I don't know. But I'm intrigued to see what they do. I would love to see Portland get a team. That would be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be awesome.
I don't think it will either. But I do think they may try to get a team closer to Seattle. I do think they might try to do that.
Well, Portland would be the answer. Like, there's no other answer.
Well, yeah, I know. That's my answer. But, no, there's
especially if they're moving Oakland. They're not going to put one in Idaho, dude. Like, they're not going to put one in Wyoming.
What about Utah, the Salt Lake City Salts?
I mean, that's not like super – they'll just steal somebody else's name like they did the fucking Jazz here in New Orleans. Like, where do you go find Jazz in Utah?
We just talked about how we like the Pelicans name now.
I do, but it still should be come on. It should St. Louis Blues, New Orleans Jazz, two of the greatest names of all time. Two shout outs, and with one shout out, there's a question mark. But shout to Bo Bichette, gets his extension, 3 years, $33.6 million today. We're from Toronto. Nice move by Toronto.
Hold on.
Bo Bichette, stud.
Not an extension. Arbitration settlement.
Sorry, arbitration. Sorry, I apologize. Wrong.
So yeah, nice for both of them. I mean, he got his money. He doesn't have to worry about arbitration.
Yeah.
And hopefully that sets up some extension talks for them to try and keep him invited together for a while. That's my hope.
Darvish, 6-year extension. What? Okay. How long until the other owners of Major League Baseball file a collusion suit against Preller and the MLBPA for jacking up everybody's fucking contracts?
Here's what I want to say. One, good for the Padres, I guess. I mean, they're spending the money, whatever. It's not my money. I will say that.
No. And to be fair, hold on before we finish. You and I want players to get as much fucking money as they can. Their window to play, very small.
But I also want other teams to be able to sign people.
Not you.
What the fuck is going on?
Why you?
Yeah, you. I was hoping we were going to get Darvish, I'm going to say, because you makes it confusing, for 2 years next year. That's what I said. I think at one point, I was like, maybe they'll be able to sign him for a big contract for 2 years. 6 years, first off, great for you, Darvish. Good for him. One of the most successful Japanese players to ever come over here. So that's awesome. 2, I don't get why you're signing people until the age 42. It's like Albert came back with a resurgence and everybody forgot the 10 years before last year.
And also for people, it's not like the NFL where they're signing these guys to 15-year deals and all the money's up front, but then those contracts are going to get renegotiated
and also
37 times.
And also the NFL,
15 years. Major League Baseball is guaranteed money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The NFL half of it's not guaranteed.
And even if you restructure it, even if they restructure it, they're going to be paying him like Bobby Bonilla. Like the Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla for the next 40 years.
It's wild to me because why?
I wouldn't give you.
Until he's 42?
I think everybody, and I think a lot of people know, I wouldn't give a pitcher 6 years ever, but especially not a 36-year-old one.
Years old?
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
He turned 37 this year.
Before we get to the mailbag,
is a fantastic pitcher who's had a great career.
I agree.
What in the world? Justin Verlander didn't get that shit.
Is he the best Japanese pitcher of all time?
I mean, yes, but we got to see. I don't know. Matsui's up there, right?
Well, he was a hitter.
Daisuke?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Hideki. My apologies. Yeah. Well, Hideo Nomo.
Yeah, and I think he's up there in the conversation. I think Shohei has a chance to get up there. Hideo Nomo, that's his name.
Hideo Nomo, is he Japanese or is he?
Yes, he was.
Okay, I thought so.
Masahiro Tanaka had a great few years up here.
He did.
Yes, I would say Yu Darvish is probably up towards the top, and I think Shohei Ohtani has a chance to be up there as well. But he's definitely in the conversation. I mean, I think he really did. He's the reason that guys like Kodai Senga and Masahiro Tanaka were able to come over here because they saw what Yu Darvish was doing.
Right.
So good for him.
Okay, before we get to the mailbag and get out of here, just a few things I want to get your take on. All right, as we are approaching. We don't have to have any GOAT talk, but shout out to LeBron. Like I told you, I buried the hatchet a couple of years ago. It's not his fault that everybody compared him to everybody else, Like, that's fine. What, again, you and I've talked on here quite often, enjoy greatness while you're seeing it, because many times we don't. Like, even Tom Brady, I buried that hatchet years ago. A lot of people didn't. I buried
I
that
didn't.
because I wanted to appreciate watching greatness, and I've done the same
Yeah.
with LeBron. And shout out to him. He's going to end up, he might score 45,000 points in the NBA. And I mean, when you talk about a guy he's fourth all time in assists, I don't know what he can get to. I don't think he can get to Stockton or
No, he's not.
Yeah,
He's
it's
not
Magic too.
I'm not sure.
Should know that.
Jason
Either way,
Kidd's up there.
I don't think he'll get to that. But what he's done, in my mind, he's the second greatest basketball player of all time now. Second or third, you can put it wherever you want. If you want to call him first, I'm not going to get mad at you about it. I don't agree with you, but that's fine. We are witnessing greatness. Lakers make big move today to help that team. But any thoughts on LeBron?
Yeah, congrats. An unbelievable career. Like, just absolute one of the greatest careers in team sports history, period.
Agreed.
That's just where he's at. My personal opinion would be Michael Jordan's number one, but I'm at a point now. I used to get angry when people said LeBron.
Yeah, I don't anymore.
I'm at a point now where he has been so good for so long. Great, I guess I should
He's 39, dude.
Yeah, 38. But he's been so great for so long that if you were to come up to me and say LeBron James is the greatest player of all time, I'm not going to necessarily agree with you, but I'm not going to say that you can't make the argument. No, so he has been amazing. He's been the player of my generation. It was Kobe and then him. Seems like a great dude, does a lot for charity. So he deserves all the praise. Really cool to see him and Kareem go out there and take pictures together. He said "fuck" on the internet, on live TV, and made Skip Bayless mad. Made Skip Bayless mad for some reason. But I thought it was awesome. I thought his interview with Shaq after the game was awesome, where Shaq made him say that he was the greatest player of all time.
I mean, what do you want him to say? Like, why should he not, dude? Like, I thought Jalen Rose. I think it was Jalen Rose, who, by the way, my favorite as a massive NBA fan, Jalen Rose, my favorite guy to listen to talk basketball. I love that dude. But he said something about the fact of, like, LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He's already, like, named the GOAT essentially coming out of high school. That everybody in the NBA had an axe to grind essentially against LeBron. And at 18, he's like throwing shoulders. He's like, at 18, he's throwing shoulders at guys. And Jalen Rose, like, I still got some of these on my arm from him. And he's like, and you know, we've talked about this with Bryce since he was 10 years old. People have been calling him the prodigy. But then to do it, that's the thing. Like, you can get called the greatest, but to then continue to do it, I have absolute mad respect for that. And like I said, I buried the hatchet with him a long time. It wasn't with him; it was with his fans. If we're going to be honest, I watch him play almost every night. I love it.
Yeah. I said, hey, I even texted you guys, like, hey, you better watch LeBron.
We were watching. Yeah,
because we all knew, when he's 36 away, he's not going to lip it to a 12-point to get the record.
And how cool at halftime he's talking to his kids. He's like, I need 16. That's 8 a quarter. They're like, go for it. And you know, they're saying go for it. They don't want to have to come back the next night. They're like, you go for it. Let's get this done now. We're all here. So cool to see Jay-Z in there. I mean, everybody was there, which I expected. It's fucking LA. Cool to see him do it at home, which, by the way, you know, unless he would have scored 68 here in New Orleans.
And how fitting to do it as a Laker in Staples Center. Well, I'm calling it Staples Center. I'm not calling it Crypto.
I know.
In Staples Center with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there to break his record. That's pretty cool.
Just a couple of things I want to get your take on the NBA. Also, Kyrie to Dallas. Thoughts? Go.
He's a great player.
He is. He is a great player. And I think on the last year of his contract, I think he and Luka will play very well together. I really do. I think when Kyrie is motivated to play, which he is right now, because nobody's going to sign him to a long deal, I don't think. But when he's motivated to play, and you put him out there with Tim Hardaway Jr., and you put him out there with Luka Doncic, and you put him out there with the other guys.
Name Tim Hardaway Jr. before Luka.
Well, nice. I'm just saying. Well, I mean, obviously I said Luka earlier, but you know, Dwight
Christian
Powell,
Wood.
Yeah, Christian Wood, Maxi Kleber. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I think they say it differently, but either way, you put him out there with those guys. I think he's going to be fine. I think that West, first of all, now transition Kevin Durant to the Suns.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing about Kyrie.
Oh, sure.
But no one's ever going to question how great of a basketball player Kyrie Irving is. It's other stuff about him that I don't like, that most people don't like, but when he's on the court, he's going to be great. Kevin Durant going to the Suns, to like 1 a.m, I was almost falling asleep, and then I looked at my phone and I was like, what the hell? And I texted you, I was like, holy shit, Kevin Durant's a Phoenix Sun. Great move for the Suns.
New
We'll see how it's
owner,
going to work.
new owner in Phoenix. Like last year, they said they were close to getting the Durant deal done, and the owner nixed it because he didn't want to deal Bridges and Cam Johnson in the draft picks. New owner said, "Fuck it, let's go win." Which, by the way, mad respect for. I agree. We don't know what the draft picks are ever going to be. Those are low draft picks anyway because Phoenix is going to be good. So, yeah, let's go. How wild?
How do
And
they
I
have
texted
4
you this
guys on
earlier.
max contracts?
Like Harden, Durant, Kyrie was supposed to be. I mean, that was supposed to be greatness right there, right? That was supposed to be the next Golden State team. You got all those guys are gone. You got Ben Simmons and a bunch of draft picks. No all-stars. I mean, what they're calling it the biggest collapse in like sports team history, franchise history. There we go. Sports team franchise history.
Yeah, it's just a. I mean, who didn't see that coming?
I
Those 3
didn't
guys.
because a week ago
I
before
told
Kyrie-
you the whole time. I said put those 3 people on the same team. It's a disaster.
But what I'm
And it
saying is
was.
a week ago, they were second in the East, and people were talking
Oh,
about them
yeah.
as being Eastern Conference, like a possibility with Durant and Kyrie. How can you got Durant and Kyrie? I can't argue against that. And now they're both gone because Kyrie demanded a trade. Wild.
So did Durant, to be fair.
Lakers get rid of Westbrook. Evidently, he might end up in Chicago. Evidently, so did hear today from Stephen A. Smith, just to clarify, I have been critical with you of not about you, but the Anthony Davis sitting, watching. Evidently, right before that happened, Westbrook, Darvin Ham screaming match. That's why Anthony Davis was in a terrible mood. That's just what I heard from Stephen A. Smith today. Did not know that bit of information. Westbrook evidently a nightmare in the clubhouse with the Lakers.
Don't say that.
Always at her, huh?
Don't say that.
Well, that's what Stephen A. Smith reported from the late. Like, I'm just relaying.
Yeah, their job is to shock people and get them to believe stuff.
Don't know. You and I are both Westbrook fans. You and I both also said didn't understand how that works there. So I think he ends up in Chicago. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I like Westbrook, but
Josh Richardson to New Orleans. Thoughts?
Not many. We'll see how it works.
Vladimir Tarasenko traded from the Blues. You're a big Blues guy. I'm trying to get to become one. Glad I did not buy the Tarasenko jersey, 91. My buddies of mine say they did not get enough from the Rangers.
They're wrong.
Okay.
For multiple reasons.
They said the conditional draft picks are the problem.
One conditional draft pick. Well, they're both conditional, but
they're
both first round. They're both first round. One of them's a first round pick. So I don't really care. I wanted a first round pick no matter what. 2, the other one, if they make the playoffs, which they got Vladimir Tarasenko, they're probably going to make the playoffs. You get a 3rd round pick instead of a 4th round pick. I don't mind that one at all. Here's the thing, he had a no trade clause. Okay, so he got to choose where he wanted to go.
Right.
The Blues had a guy with a no trade clause who was an unrestricted free agent next year, who everybody knew wanted to leave St. Louis after this contract, and the Blues wanted him gone. They had 0 leverage. They had to choose a team he'd go to, and they had to trade him. So to get a first round pick out of that is great to me. But before, I don't even really want to talk about that side of it.
No,
I want to talk about Vladimir Hold on.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Vladimir Tarasenko and what he did for the city of St. Louis by bringing the Blues back onto the map. The guy's one of the greatest players in St. Louis Blues history. He played a massive role in bringing them the first ever Stanley Cup in 2019. He is top 5 St. Louis sports figures since I have been alive. And I wish him nothing but the best. I appreciate every second he gave here. I know it ended very poorly. That's okay. The first 10 years-ish of his career were absolutely incredible. And I hope he's great in New York, and I hope he wins a ring.
Okay, that's where we'll end it. That's good. Last thing before we get to the mailbag. Super Bowl Sunday. What are you doing for it?
Getting some wings and probably drinking.
High noons.
Don't know yet.
Okay. If you haven't yet, by the way, the neutrals are good, and the Truly vodka seltzers are very good. They're new.
If I'm getting seltzer, I'm getting high.
They're cheaper. They're way cheaper, dude.
I don't care. I'll pay for
better
taste.
Fucking money bags over here.
No, I don't spend much money, but if I do, I'll spend it on those.
Okay. Who are you picking in the Super Bowl?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Isn't it 73% of the money is on the Eagles. Now, a lot of that can be Missouri doesn't have legalized sports gambling. A lot of that can be whatever you want to take it. 1.5 Eagles favorite. You're taking the Chiefs.
Taking the Chiefs because I think, well, the Eagles defense is what scares me. Their defensive line is just it's a bear. They will go after the quarterback, and Mahomes is still probably a little bit sore and tender on his ankle, I would assume. But I just won't ever bet against that man in a big game. And I've yet to see Jalen Hurts. I don't want to take away from him getting to the Super Bowl. That's an incredible accomplishment for him. But we haven't really seen him have to struggle through a playoff game yet. And he's not going to be able to just roll through the Chiefs. And I don't know how he's going to respond to that. So I trust Mahomes more.
Okay. I'm also going with the Chiefs. So we will either be spot on or not.
I would be mad if either team wins, though. I think both teams are really fun to watch.
I'm going to pick Mahomes. That's why. I'm picking Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid. That's what I'm doing.
I think he starts his ascent into being into trying to catch Tom Brady this
And
season.
then the dynasty talk begins because now you've won 2 and you've been to 3. So yeah. Yep. Okay.
And he won one without Tyreek Hill when people said he couldn't.
We're going to the parades on Sunday and then coming back. And normally your mom always cooks something, but I think we're ordering pizza and wings as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's better.
Okay. Are you ready to get to the hard 9 bag?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to bring them to you. All right. Straight from,
straight out of Compton.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Few things. Daniel Harmon, Grafton, Illinois, representing. Shout out, buddy. Oyster Bar, loading dock. We love it up there. Bobby G's, I think, is a cool spot. And then he said, I'm not convinced that Goldschmidt and Arenado will be DHing a whole bunch. I think we're looking at two people if they keep a generic pace of gameplay that are going into the Hall of Fame. We agree, by the way. So gameplay at their position will be at a premium. Thinks Marmol knows their future Hall of Fame and keeps them at their positions. Thoughts?
I couldn't disagree more with just about everything he said. And
are you saying those 2 aren't going to be Hall of Famers?
Just about. That's the only part I agree with. One, last year, when they were a year younger, mind you, both in the MVP race, they DH'd a combined 40 times. So that's a fourth of the season. I assume that number will either stay the same or go up, if I had to guess.
Well, so you're saying combined a fourth.
Combined, they DH'd 40 times.
An eighth for each of them.
A fourth combined, right?
Yeah,
that's
okay, gotcha.
So I think that will continue. I think Brendan Donovan plays a massive role into why that will continue. And I believe that them being a Hall of Fame, no one cares if Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado have 20 games DHing at the age of 32.
Okay. All right. Daryl Dixon.
David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame.
Daryl Dixon, our favorite
crossbow shooter.
Yeah, crossbow shooter. Also was fantastic in Boondock Saints. So shout out. Been loving the podcast, guys. Appreciate you for that. Thank you. I'm excited to see what Gorman can do this year. His power is exciting, but I think he's going to get the most of at bats at DH against right-handed pitching. The main reason I think that is because Donovan is more consistent, gets on base, grinds every bat, and can hit left-handed pitching better than Gorman. But I got a feeling Gorman is going to take his game to the next level. Having Donovan and Gorman fighting for second is exciting and a good problem to have. Yepez is just as exciting as Gorman. I just wish Yepez could play better defense. He's liability out there. I'm so ready for the season to start. 12-23. Start the March, Daryl. Let's start the March. 12-23.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Yepez later, by the way. We will be doing a profile on him.
I think Donovan's position playing second base depends on how everybody else around the field is doing. If anyone's injured, knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen. If players in the outfield aren't playing well, and maybe Jordan Walker's not quite up yet, for whatever reason, I could see him playing a lot of games in the outfield, and then you go ahead and just place, Gorman at second base. I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're both going to play a lot of second base, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, you just never really know how those things are going to work themselves out during the season.
Jason DiBernardi. Jason DiBernardi. All right,
Jason. Lost one subscriber.
No, I don't think so. Fellas, love watching your videos. Good info and breakdown of Gorman and Donovan. Thanks for what you do. Thank you for what you do, Jason.
Thanks for watching.
Birch 24 expectations ? Cardinal Nation expects to win our division, win the National League Championship, and go on to the World Series. We expect nothing less. That was to the podcast that you titled, "What's Your Expectations for the 2023 St. Louis Cardinals Be?" I don't know that he watched the podcast, but just saw.
I think he forgot that he wasn't on Twitter and realized that that's a title to something. That'd be like responding to an article and not reading it and saying, "Well, this title." I mean, okay.
But maybe he didn't. If he did, thank you. By the way, also we agree; those are our expectations as well.
The question
we
was,
also believe that's Mo and DeWitt's expectations as well.
Oh boy, someone's gonna not like that in the comments.
Well, and it's Ollie's. We know it's Ollie's. He said so.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's the expectation. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we said in the video, I believe.
Blake Tade, he loves us. Love you guys. Wasn't offended. And I think we talked about him before. And it made me laugh.
That was
Happy
after
birthday,
I
Mike.
thought you
Thanks,
said
buddy.
That was after I thought you said lactate.
You did. Oh, you got to bring it back up.
Well, I just wanted to bring some
Why
context.
don't you call him Block A?
That wasn't funny.
That was
I
Blake. We appreciate you, buddy. We really do. Keep commenting. We do. Don't let Caleb get you down. That man's still sitting in a fucking jail cell up there.
That's about you.
Jay Snow, you think that's JT? Hey, big fan of yours, buddy. When you played first base for the Giants, could rake, hit from both hit. JT Snow? What's just Jay Snow? I don't know if it's really JT, or it could be John.
Yeah, but I say it could be John.
It could be John Snow. But Jay Snow did get a kick out of me telling you to let Mike cook, not cuck. Cook. He does love the pod. He says, "Thank you, Jason. We appreciate our Jay." What is the most competitive position the players will be competing for in spring training? His pick would be the DH. Go.
Outfield.
All right. I did not read all of it because we're running out of time, but he also talked about the outfield with Burleson, Gomez, and Walker in that category. So he also did go on to comment about that. We agree.
Yep.
Jamaica, shout out Jamaica. If Walker wins Rookie of the Year, I'm offering him 13 years, $195 million. That's a good contract for both sides. Anytime somebody offers me $195 million, I'm in.
If Jordan Walker becomes the guy we think he can be, okay, don't expect it, please, because the kid's 20. But if he becomes the guy we think he can be and has a massive year like a Julio Rodriguez type, then you offer him a Julio Rodriguez type deal that's incentive laden, that backs you if he's not as good as you think he could be, and backs him if he is as good as he can be. That's what I would do.
Right. Steve, your guy, Steve. What happens if O'Neill and Carlson bounce back in the spring? Nootbaar continues and Walker breaks out with a better spring than all three. I think most of us are assuming one of the three outfielders doesn't bounce back, have a good spring, and if Walker stands out, he's up. Can he steal a spot from one that is looking good? Or I think there's was supposed to be a period there. Can he question mark? Can he steal a spot from one that is looking good? We are going to start our outfield next week. So tune into that. I think we'll answer all of those questions, or at least what we believe, because we don't know. Like nobody knows. But I do think those are all valid questions. Mm-hmm. I think they're all things that everybody's talking about. And I do think that the outfield spot is incredibly intriguing right now because coming into last year, the three were locked up. Coming into this year, I don't know that they're as locked as everybody thinks they are.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're going to talk about it, obviously. I think Jordan Walker is going to get as a chance to impress.
Yeah, I agree. And
if he impresses, we'll see where that goes. It's hard to answer Jordan Walker questions when we haven't seen how he's played in spring training yet.
Exactly. Rich Melly. Tommy Edman is the third best player on a team that has Goldschmidt Arenado on it. Every successful team has to have a Tommy Edman type of player on it. The kid is a spark plug, and I feel is greatly underappreciated by fans and media. Well, we fucking agree with all of that. I don't know if he's the third best player. Wilson Contreras might be.
Yeah, I agree with all that, but he's up there, man. Either way, he's up there in the conversation.
See, I just underrated him again.
You can argue he's the third most valuable player on the team. Yeah. You could. And we have to see what Wilson does as a Cardinal. He hasn't played yet. But
Rich, thank you.
He's underrated. He is a spark plug. I agree. And he is a guy. He's a winning player. He's a David Eckstein type winning player, you know.
I think he's better than David Eckstein.
He is, but he's going to help. But you have a guy on that team, and he can help you win like David Eckstein.
No offense, by the way, to David Eckstein. I mean,
David Eckstein has 2 rings, doesn't he?
Yeah, World Series MVP.
I know.
So thank you everybody for commenting on YouTube. We greatly appreciate you. I love doing these. I like to get your take off of those. And to give everybody a shout out. We appreciate that. Anything else you need to say before we get out of here? Because I'm going to go eat something.
No, I'm good.
All right. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can find me on Twitter at MikeNoble08. You can find that guy across from me.
They'll be below our faces.
There we go. I forgot. So just look down here.
And also, I have done a thing. I started putting the links to the Twitters in the bio of our podcast. So there's a link to our podcast page, the Hard Nine. So because we don't even know what it is, we've messed it up so many times. And a link to his Twitter and my Twitter. So just click the link and it'll take you there.
Fantastic. You can find us on Facebook. We're getting a lot of stuff on Facebook. Next week I'll bring Facebook comments in. I couldn't do it all this week, but thank you for the Facebook stuff. Hard 9 Pod as well. Instagram, we don't comment or post anything on there, but we are there
Instagram
for future reference. For future reference, we are there. But as always, when you're watching this, if you're liking it, if you've made it this far, we think you like it, or you're crazy. One of the two. So if you could hit that
Or you
subscribe
fell
button.
asleep and you just
Right.
woke
Yeah.
up.
Hey, as you're waking up and the drool is coming off your face, please just hit the subscribe. Tell your friends. We greatly appreciate you. Have an incredible Super Bowl weekend. Have a fun. We're coming up on Mardi Gras down here. It's wild down here. We will talk about that next week. But have an incredible Super Bowl weekend. Stay safe. Take care of each other. Be kind. We'll see you soon.